Well, that was a very eye-opening and interesting test that I just did. Today on In the Woodyard, it's moisture testing day. We're gonna check out some wood and see if it's ready to burn. Here we go. So today is a day that's similar to a girlfriend I had years ago when I was a younger man. It's frigid. We're gonna do some moisture testing. I've got my axe, my X27 Fiskars, and I've got a moisture meter. I am going to be checking some wood that may be ready to burn. I'm not sure if it is, but I wanna make sure it is. I've got this cherry that was cut and split a while back, months ago, and I noticed it's cracking really good on the outside, but that doesn't mean that it's ready to burn. One of the indicators a lot of people think is you can look at it and you know. Well, you can't look at it. You have to use a moisture meter to really know. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way, is you can burn it and see if it sizzles and smokes and doesn't burn very well. That's another way to do it. I've done that in the past just to make sure that it was ready. Someone on the channel made a comment to me, someone new to the channel that hasn't watched much, saying that moisture meters can't be trusted because they always fail. Obviously that person is old school because I think they were assuming that the only way to really know is experience. Yes, that is a way to know. I did a video on this a while back. I've gone over all the different ways there are to test your wood to make sure that it is ready to burn. Number one, best way, moisture meter. No question about it. Now, meters can vary slightly, and I have two of them, and they never line up exactly. They're always, one's a little more than the other, a little less than the other, but they're pretty darn close. And I have done a video with Tony, and I think he has either 2 or 3 moisture meters, and we've compared all of them on similar pieces of wood, and they're usually pretty darn close. I mean, within, say, we would get a reading of 17.5 on with one meter, and the next meter would be 17.7, the next meter would be 17.4, the next meter would be 17.9. I mean, pretty darn close. So if you're going really old school for testing your wood, the best way to do it is to cut, split, and stack it, cover it, and leave it for 2 years. And almost no matter what kind of wood you have, in 2 years it's going to be good. Or you can split it open, check the inside of it. If you put it up to your lips, you can feel moisture if there is any. You can make a fire and burn and see how it works, see if it sizzles out at all, or if, you know, on the end of the wood, if you're having bubbles come out. I mean, that does happen with wet wood. If it won't burn, it just sits there and smolders, obviously it's not good to go. Time is probably the only real way of testing your wood or knowing that your wood is dry without taking a meter to it. So another way to do it, obviously, you can clunk 2 pieces together. A lot of people think that works, but I've had wood that was fresh cut green, you clunk it together, and it sounds pretty good to an untrained ear. If you've done it a lot and you know the different wood species that you have and you can test it, the higher pitch sound, the better, generally. Because the more moist it is, the more of a thud you're gonna get. So that's another way to do it. Like I said, another way is to cut it open, or split it open, and check the inside of it and see if it's dry. Another way is to actually burn it. Another way is to do it through time, that you just know that it's ready to go. Another way to do it is to actually do a visual inspection. And that means look at the ends, see that it's cracked. The bark can be falling off. If the bark's falling off, that means it is shrunk down, especially for wood like, I would say like soft maple, hard maple, birch, some of the wood like that, the bark will come off. And because as the wood shrinks, it basically gets smaller than its skin, which is the bark, and the bark will come off very easily. So that's one way to visually inspect it. Another way to do it is to check it by a fresh cut piece and a piece that's older. You can feel it by weight a lot of times, your drier pieces, especially something like cottonwood. You can take a chunk of cottonwood, and which is like, it's like 50% moisture from a fresh cut piece, and to a dry piece that's, say it's 6 months or a year old, because it dries really fast, and you will lose 50% of the weight. One piece might weigh 10 pounds, and the other one that's same size, that's split and has been dried, can weigh 5 pounds. There's a huge difference in certain kinds of woods. So that's another way to do it. But this is the easiest way to do it, to know that it's done right. And for those of you that don't know how moisture meters work, there's these 2 prongs right here. You turn it on, obviously. You stick it into the wood, and what happens is the prongs measure the resistance of electricity flowing between the 2 prongs through the wood with moisture. The more moisture there is, the easier it flows, the higher reading you're going to get. The lower the moisture, the lower your reading is going to get between the two prongs with the moisture, because electricity is easily conducted through water. So that is how these work. It's pretty simple, really. You can get a moisture meter for 20 bucks. I've seen them up to as high as $100. This one right here was about 50 bucks. This is a SBI, in case you want to know. I think I paid like 50 something for this one. It's a really good one. I like it. It's very accurate from what I've been able to tell. On the back, it's got your moisture readings on the back, so it kind of shows you if it's ready to go. So it says for wood, the moisture content is considered low, between 5 and 12%. That's very low moisture. Medium moisture is 12 to 16%. And high moisture, they said 16 to 50. But 16 can be as dry as wood's gonna get sometimes. So it just depends on the kind of wood. My readings, I want to get it down to about 20%. If it's 20% or lower, it's ready to burn. No matter what kind of wood it is, it's good. The lowest reading I've ever got from a moisture meter was wood that my dad had. It was in a shed, I think, for like 7 years. And he had a bunch of oak. I think there was red and white oak. There might have been some hickory in there. There may have been some ash. I got 7 and 8% moisture content with that wood. It was dry as you can get. That's the lowest I've ever seen. And most wood that is dried for 2 years will measure in the mid-teens. It will be like, 14 to 16, 17, somewhere in there. Wood that has been dried for about a year, maybe not including oak, because oak dries slower, is going to be a little under 20. You're going to be 17, 18, 19, somewhere in there. So time is another big indicator, like I had mentioned. So if you cut split wood without a moisture meter, if you have it stacked and covered the top of it and keep it off the ground for 2 years, it'll be ready to burn. The other thing that makes wood dry faster, and a lot of you know this, is how big your splits are. I split my stuff smaller because I want anybody to be able to pick it up like this with one hand. Because most of the people I'm selling to are burning in a fireplace, and this is the size they want. If you have to use 2 hands to pick it up, it's too big. Basically, the big chunks that you want for, like, if you're heating with wood, for a boiler or for a wood stove, that's a little too big for most people for a fireplace. Because they want to actually have a flame, and they want to see the fire, and they want to enjoy it. They don't want just a big chunk of wood in there smoldering, slowly putting out heat, which is what you want in a wood stove and a wood boiler. You want bigger chunks so they last longer. But 90% of my people are buying it for a fireplace. So that's why I've got the sizes of wood that I do. The other benefit by splitting it smaller like that is it dries faster. So I'm getting actually a shorter drying time by having the smaller pieces, which is what I want, because I want to turn my wood over every year, even the oak. Let's go do some moisture tests. Okay, so the first piece of wood that I pulled from the pile was from down inside. I pull it from down in the middle over here, so it's not on top, not in the bottom, it's kind of in the middle. I picked a piece that's a little thicker, and you can see on the ends here it's cracked pretty good. That's the side that faces out. The side that faces in is not nearly as cracked. Now it feels a little bit heavy. I've just got a feeling this is not going to be dry enough yet. That's just my guess. But I'm gonna split it in the middle and check the middle of it, because that's what you need to do. And I will show you, I will test the outside and the inside and show you the difference. So I'm gonna pop it apart right now. There we go. It is popped apart now. On first impression, this is the outside part. You can see it's kind of more of a darker color in here. It's brighter and it is more cherry-like, but it does not feel wet at all. I mean, it does not feel wet. So I'm going to take the moisture meter. Okay, so here the moisture meter is on. I'll try to get this so you guys can see. I'm going to check the outside first so you can see what it reads. There you go. So it is reading around 15. I'm going to check the end that was facing out that the sun was hitting, and I get no reading at all. I'm going to check the inside, and that also measures about 14 and a half. And now this is the big one. This is the inside that really matters. So we're going to check a spot where it's getting good. Look at that. 18 and a half. That means this was ready to be sold. That's awesome. So that, my friends, is very good news. So this wood, which was cut and then split, I'm just going to guess here. I think it was probably almost 3 months ago, maybe 4 months ago. It was kind of in the middle of the summer, I think, that I cut it and then split it when I had time. Might have been end of summer, somewhere in there. And then I got it stacked probably almost 2 months ago now. So maybe this has been 4 months that it's been since it's been cut and split. But it is ready to burn. It's good to go. So that gives me not quite 2 full cords, because right here is a full cord from here to there, and then this amount right here. So if I would have done that whole pile of cherry right away, because a lot of these logs that were here, I moved way to the back just to get them out of the way. If I had that all done right away, it'd be ready to go by now. But it's not, because a lot of them are still in log form back over there. So this pile right here is ready to be sold. That is awesome, because this will sell. That's good. So now we're going to go another kind of wood. We're going to go a different spot and check more wood out. The next kind of wood that I want to check is this pile of locusts that's over here that's not stacked, and the locusts over there that is stacked. It was all cut and split at the same time, so it doesn't matter whether I take from that pile or this pile, but I pulled these 2 pieces out. They're a little bit thicker. So here's a little something that I want to do so you guys can hear it. Locust is one of those kinds of woods, when it's dry, it has real high-pitched sound when you slap it together, and I just did it, and it does sound really good. It might be dry and ready to burn. We're going to split this one apart because this is a thicker one here. We're going to give this one a split, and we'll check this one. Okay, see if I can hit this. Oh, it sounds dry. It feels dry. Let's see what the major says. The major says... Nope, not quite. Darn close though. 21.7, 21.6. I don't know if you guys can see that. I got it upside down. I think you can see it. So it says no. Here's what the outside says. See that? 16. It says 16. I'm going to check the end here. On the end it says 8. On the other end it says 13, 13 and a half. I'm going to check the inside again. Here's the inside. 21-ish. Darn close. So this stuff might be ready very soon. Probably in another month or so. Maybe 2. There it is. I'm checking it again. 21. So it's right there. So not too shabby. Okay, the next piece I'm going to check is this piece of oak that was just split like within the last month. But this was wood that was dead standing, barkless, and when I split it open, it felt dry. I didn't see any moisture on it, and I'm just curious what it's going to measure on the inside now that it's been like a month. And I'm going to check the outside and the inside. It feels a little damp, actually. This is actually, I don't think it's going to be ready to burn. Let's just see. It says 17, 17.7. And check the inside. 19.7, 0.8. Check the outside. 14. And check the end. It says 18 again. So actually it is ready to burn. Looks a little damp though. I mean, just, it says 19. So it means it's ready to burn. Now I got a piece right next to it here that I pulled, and this was one that I split open. Again, this was a month ago, and I knew when I split it, it looked wet. It looked wet. So I'm just gonna check the outside quick. And it says 20 on the outside. Okay, so I'm gonna pop it apart here, see if I can split it. It's kind of a smaller chunk. But I'm going to split it in half and then check the inside of that one, because I got a feeling it's going to be in the low 20s, would be my guess. Let's see, right here, yeah, you can see this is fairly dry. You can just see that it's wet. I mean, I can actually feel moisture. I'm guessing it's going to be in the high 20s. Nope. 22. So not quite ready to burn yet, but it's not terrible, but still a little too high. So maybe in another couple months it'll be good to go. So for sure, by the summer, it should be ready to go. So those 2 pieces that I just checked, one of them was from this pile right here of stuff that when I split it, I knew it was dry. And the other one came from right in here. And that's this row of stuff that was barkless oak that I just split. And it was wet when I split it. I could tell it wasn't dry, but that was a piece that I checked from the middle of it that looks pretty good. So this stuff might be ready pretty darn soon. So for sure, by this summer or early spring even, this whole pile might be ready to burn. So that's good. The bad thing is I was planning on this to be wood for next year, but it might sell before next year. I mean, next fall, because it already is the next year. But yeah, that stuff's drying really nice. And because it was barkless oak that was cut and split and stacked, it's getting sun every day, it's getting wind, it's getting the seasoned work done. So we're gonna go to a different pile. Okay, I'm just gonna go check this pile right here. Now this is all maple, and this was cut early last spring, like right when the grass was growing. This whole section right here is a tree that got cut down. So I know that this stuff is ready to go because I've already sold some of it, but I just wanted to do a quick check here. I'm just gonna come up to this one, and you can see it's 15, 16. Let's check one down here. It's another one. It's 17%, 18%. These are bigger chunks from a big tree. 15% and 16%. But I just split one of these open no more than a week ago, and it was like 16, 17%. So I know that stuff's good because I have been selling some of that wood on that end, or they've already been selling some of it. So I know it's good to go, but I was just curious just to see. Now we're going to go over, we're going to check out, let's see. I think we're going to go over, we're going to check out some oak that I cut way over there that's cut, split, and stacked. And that was cut last spring, so it's almost a year old now, but it was from some dead standing oak. We're going to go check that out next. So on my way over to the oak, I decided to stop by this cottonwood here and check it out, because this stuff I know is over a year old. 11%, 15%. 11%. Let's see, let's check one down here a little bit. Let's come down this way. Let's check out one down here on the end here. 11%. Let's check this butt piece here. 12%. And this stuff I've split open. I've been selling this for a while now, and it is very dry. It's definitely burns. I've burned some of it and it just goes poof. They call that, there's a name for that poof wood. When it just goes, you put it in, it goes poof. It explodes basically. Cottonwood burns really fast. This here is some red pine that I cut about a year ago, a little over a year ago. 13%, 11%, 14%. Let's check this one up on top here. I'll check the bottom. 14%. And this stuff I know is well over a year old. It's actually about a year and a half old, and it is very dry. It is ready to burn. Now, let's go down to the oak, finally. Okay, before I pull a piece out to check the inside, I'm just going to check some of the outsides. I can see it's very gray, obviously, is another way to, a visual indicator along with the cracks. So it's graying, it's aging. The bark is coming off of it, but I just want to check some of these pieces that are on the end here. Nothing. 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 Not getting any readings at all. Probably because it's got such deep cracks in it. 15% on that one. Let's check this one. Nothing. They're not registering at all. Let's try it like this. 15%. So we're getting 15% on these. So now I'm going to chop one open, get to the inside where the moisture is. Okay, so I pulled out two pieces. Now this one here has no bark on it. It was barkless when it was cut, because I can see by the bark, or the outside of it, there's no bark on it at all. And then this one has bark on it yet. You can see it's starting to crack there a little bit. You're starting to get a lot of cracks into the wood, but the bark is still on, which means, and it feels heavier too, that means this one was probably very wet when it was cut and split. So I'm going to test each one of these on the inside and see what they measure, because it will be different, I would guess. Okay, first I'm going to pop this one apart, and then I'll split that one apart, and we'll check the insides of both of them. Well, maybe I won't. I got to hit a lot harder. I just kind of gave it a little wimpy hit. There we go. So I'm going to leave this one right here. That's the inside of that one. I'm going to split this one in half. Check the inside of both of them. Okay, so that's the inside of that one. I'll grab the meter here, and we will check first this one. I'm going to check the outside and see what it says. says 16. And on the inside, it says 21. So similar to what the locust was. And that was all cut about the same time. So very similar. There it says 19. 20, it just hits 20. You got to push in pretty hard on these. So this one's darn close. And this was a big chunk with bark on it, and it's darn close to being ready. Now this is the one that didn't have bark, and I split. Look at that, 21. About the same. Let's check this here. 15. Check it here. 15 again. So this one's ready to burn. Even though, yeah, it's 19. Right around 19. So the stuff without the bark is below 20. The stuff with the bark, once again, ooh, it hit 22 there for a second. 21.9. That's what it registers. So it's close. It's real close. I thought it might be getting close, and it looks like it is. Okay, so again, this is the wood that I cut with my brother Eric. I forget. I had like 5 or 6 trailer loads full that I brought back, and we cut them into rounds, and I brought it back. So a lot of this is going to be ready now. A lot of it is close. I probably could sell it, and it probably would be okay, but I'm going to have this be the last stuff that I sell. First, I'm going to sell all the other wood that I have, and I'll check this again before I sell it. But probably another month, maybe 2, it'll be good to go, because it gets sun almost all day long, because that's east, that direction. Sun comes up, it hits the front of this all day, and then all afternoon it gets, as you can see my shadow here, it's the afternoon now. This gets sun, and it gets wind, because there's really no trees really above it other than that little one there. So this gets a lot of exposure to the elements, and that's one thing that I've mentioned before in videos, is that when you're putting your wood in a place to dry, you want to have it where the sun is going to hit it, you want to have it where the wind is going to hit it as much as possible. So that's real important. The elements help dry. Wind, sun, not so much the rain, but yeah, you want to get it so that you get some wind and some sun on it. It was one of my jets. That's a cute little guy. Not very loud either. That's kind of a nice one. Some of them are so loud about bust your eardrums. So that is the wood that I wanted to get checked. Let's go check this pile of cherry over here that we just split like 2 days ago. Let's go check that out. So this is the pile of cherry. Hello. This is the pile of cherry that was just cut and split in less than the last week. So I'm going to just grab a piece. I don't need to split it open because it's just been split open. So we're going to check this one out. It says 16. Huh. I would not have guessed that to be that low. I'll try it again right here. It says 15.3. Try it right here. 13. Let me try a different one because I am very surprised that it's that low. Let's take this one. It looks like it was just split in half. This one right here. It looks like it might be a good one to test. Let's just see what we get here. 17. Holy smokes. That wood might be ready to go too. Well, that's one thing that I never even thought about till just now when I'm thinking about it. This wood sat here in log form in a pile, a log pile, off the ground, out in the open with the sun hitting it, wind hitting it, all day, every day for 4 months, 5 months maybe, that I never even got to it till just now. It sat there that long. So maybe it dried that well in the log farm. They were small pieces. There was nothing real big in here. So I'm gonna try to find a bigger chunk down here and just give it a check. Here's one right here is a big chunk. Let's check this one. This is a pretty fat one, as you can see. I'm gonna check the end, and then I'm gonna check the inside. It says 18.8, and then the inside, if I can get it to sit still, come on, baby. It says 18.5 or 6. Let's check the other side. It says 19.
And that's from fresh split. Now let's split this one open and check the inside, just in case the surface is drying that fast. Okay, I'm gonna pop this baby open and see what she says. Maybe I'm not going to. I need to hit it harder. Try that again. Okay, I'm gonna hit it harder this time. There we go. Didn't really get a full swing on. Okay, so this was the outside. This is the inside that I just split apart. Now here's the difference. I can actually see this looks much drier. This looks brighter, which means it's got some moisture on it. I'm guessing this is gonna register above 20. It's gotta be, yep. 22 on the inside. That's a big chunk, so it's darn close to being ready. 22.2. 22.4 is what I'm getting with it. So, and I check this end, and I got 19. Check the side that was split a few days ago. It says 17. I check the very outside of it, 18. And I check the end of it, 16. Here's the inside again. Here's the inside part. Yep, 22 is what it's coming up as. So, there you go. It's darn close. Well, that was a very eye-opening and interesting test that I just did. I'm very surprised. Most of the wood that I would have guessed, it wouldn't even been close to being ready, especially this cherry right here, and the locust back over there, and even that oak that we just tested over there. It's all pretty darn close. It's real close to being ready to be burned. I mean, I could sell it. It would still burn because the outside, probably inch all the way around, is dry, and it would burn just fine. But I really like to get it down to 20%. And that's kind of like the ideal number that you want to hit. Is anything in the high teens is great. So 15 to 19 is excellent for wood. But that means my greatest fears have been avoided. I don't think I'm going to run out of wood to sell, because I will sell the wood that I know is good to burn, that has been cut, split, and stacked for a full year. I've still got probably 3 full cords of maple, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 full cords of oak, and then I've got a bunch of oak, another 5 or 6 full cords that's real close to being ready. I've got 1, 2, 3 full cords of cherry that is ready to be sold right now. I've got about 2 full cords of ash yet that is ready to be sold, and I got lots of cottonwood. I've got lots of aspen. I've got lots of that's ready to go. So I will have wood pretty much through the rest of the winter that I'll be able to sell. So that's good news. I will not run out, but I will have wood that will continue to be sold. The bad news is that's wood. This cherry behind me, that oak over there, the locust that's over there, that's all wood that I thought was going to be for next year's sales. And when I say next year, I mean next fall coming, because now it's the end of January, and that wood I figured would be ready by next fall, but it's close to being ready right now. I might be able to sell it real soon, so I'll keep checking it. I'll check it like once a month, and I'll keep an eye on it and just see. And that's good news that I'll be able to sell it, and I shouldn't run out of wood, and I should be able to keep all my customers happy. I might have to switch a few of them to a different flavor, so to speak. Instead of having oak, they might have to get locust, or instead of getting oak, they might have to get cherry or something like that. But I do have wood that is going to be dry and ready to be sold, you know, in the next month or two. So that's awesome. And I know I've got enough to last for at least another month before I'm going to run out. And I've got all that cottonwood that I can sell that is wood that will burn, and I will try to sell some of that as I can, and hopefully I'll have some people that are willing to take some of it at a really, really, really good price. So that's good news. Makes me a happy boy. So that's it for today, folks. The testing is complete. Tomorrow I will be back in the wood yard. You should come on back. It'll be fun. Between now and then, get outside, get cutting. You know what happens next. Good night, Irene.